My name's Jonny Smith, and in this episode I'm going to be driving the most hyped electric car that isn't a Tesla in Spain in a biblical rainstorm. Come join me. This is probably the longest I've ever waited to drive a finished production EV from when I first saw it as a concept. First saw it in 2017. It came out of the Frankfurt Motor Show, a show normally dominated by the Germans, let's face it, and this thing just absolutely destroyed everything around it. All of the column inches, all of the social media was about the urban EV concept. I got to touch it and play with it and interview the designer at the end of 2017 in Japan. Today we're going to be actually driving this car. So how different is it from the original concept? So it was called the Urban EV, now it's called just the Honda E, which is a shame because I quite like the Urban EV, and they've strictly told us this car has been designed all the time with an urban environment in mind. Look, frameless doors. Very, very popular in Japan, the old frameless door. If you just take it from a style perspective, I love the 2-spoke steering wheel, which is just unusual. It's not sporty. Sporty steering wheels are normally 3-spoke. Gives you that feeling of extra space. This flat kind of wooden plinth underneath all these TV screens. This is not even real wood. It's not even real wood, and yet it feels special, and it does feel kind of homely. You've got this mad screen setup, two 12.3-inch touch screens here, and then you've got an 8-inch TFT one for the kind of driver's binnacle, and then you've got the two camera ear screens here, left and right. The rear view mirror is a camera. It uses a camera on the back of the car, but if you flip it away, which normally you would dip it to get rid of glare, then it converts back to being a conventional mirror. Honda have said this a few times in their presentations. They want the E to feel like a luxurious kind of lounge, despite the fact it's a pretty small car. Look at the lock on that. You get carried away with this lock, steering lock. Right, we're going to go out into what is thought to be one of Valencia's stormiest weeks. You only need to look at the palm trees. I'm trying to get used to the cameras replacing mirrors thing, because I've got a camera up there, and I've got a camera 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 there. So it's proper Japanese technological overload. Now Honda have gone big on aero, which is presumably why they've gone with this design. No wing mirrors. Instead you have these little nodules with the cameras in. Much better for aerodynamics, but they actually, unlike the Audi e-tron, which is the only other production car I think which has cameras instead of mirrors, the e-tron has the sticking out on stupid stalks, so they still look like wing mirrors. It's pointless. These don't look like wing mirrors. Having these screens here as opposed to the Audi e-tron, which has them down on the door tops, it just doesn't work. These side cameras have a special rain repellent coating on them, and today's the best test you're ever going to get in the life of this car. With gale force winds and rain, you can probably hear the wind whistling through this bridge next to me. If I look there, it's crystal clear, and if I look over there, that is absolutely crystal clear. Fair enough, that is good. These are more inboard than those swollen wheel arches, so you're more likely to catch the arch of the car or curb the alloy than you are hitting the mirror. This is their first completely electric car from the ground up, so it's an important car for Honda. It's a good statement because it shows that they're not following the crowd. You know, it's not an e-tron thing, it's not a Mercedes EQC, and it's not a conventional hatchback in the way that a Leaf is, or a Kona, which is a kind of crossover. This has got a 35.5 kilowatt hour battery pack. Single motor at the back, 113 kilowatts. There is a lower ranking motor as well. You can really feel that low down weight, 50-50 weight distribution that Honda have dialed into this car. The battery pack being nice and low in between the axles. I like the steering. I've put it in sport mode because I know I've got plenty of battery before I get to my destination. I think it's geared up for more power. It's got independent suspension, the Honda E, and you can really feel that. I love the way it's damp. The suspension feels firm but not uncomfortable. Feels like it's paused for a bit of action when it comes to B roads. The response is certainly nothing like Tesla. It feels slower than like an E208 Peugeot in sport mode. It feels like it'll be perfect for a Type R, for a full EV Type R, the world's first, I guess. I feel like this is going to be a cult car, a tunable car. I like Honda when it's at its quirkiest and it just goes off on its own tangent. That's when Honda really just nails it for me. There are people on my social media who, when I first saw this car and put pictures up about it back in 2017, didn't even have any interest in electric cars and just wanted a piece of it. They wanted it because of the way it looked, because it's a great piece of design. When I interviewed the designers, they were very, very keen for me to not call it a retro, because on the one hand it looks retrospective because of cars like the Honda Civic, the first generation Honda Civic from the mid-70s, and even also from the mid-70s, the VW Golf Mark 1. Those were two of the designs which a lot of people kind of liken this to, with this C-pillar here which kicks up, and then you've got the bulbous arches, and you've got the really simple door lines with this groove that goes from the bonnet all the way along and then up the back there. The front, the face, and it does have a really wonderful, happy little face. I mean, even in this kind of dark metallic grey, which is quite a sort of sensible colour for this car, really. It was launched with that lovely pearlescent white. But the black concave face with these characterful eyes, look, it's what everybody's kind of engaged with. Under here is the air intake. So in there is the air goes in, the battery pack is between the axles. But yeah, the Honda badge no longer illuminates. You can see the indicators are around the edge of the dipped and full beam headlights. And when you look down the full frontal profile, you can see these bulbous wheel arches. And they were a feature on the original urban EV concept that everyone really resonated with. Let's go to the side. I know what you're thinking. It's a good side profile, isn't it? It's just a great proportioned car. It's 3,895 millimeters long. It is about 4.5 centimeters longer than a Mini Electric, a Mini 1, but it's a lot shorter than the Nissan Leaf. It's a lot shorter than an e-Golf. It's shorter than the Hyundai Kona. It's shorter than the Renault Zoe. The seats, just bored of leather. Leather's so done to death, and it's great to see alternatives to dead animal skin. And this is a recycled polyester kind of fibre. It feels kind of cozier. You know, there's a bit of hygge here, that Scandinavian thing of relaxation and lighting candles. We won't light the candles, but we'll do everything else. Just wanted to check, I've got the seat on its lowest setting. It's a mechanical seat, by the way. No electrics, which I don't mind at all. And you sit quite high in relation to the dash, so you get that more upright kind of crossover stance, really. Safety configuration. If I go into that, this is Honda's sensing suite, which comes as standard on the E. Low speed braking control, which I tested this morning, so I nearly reversed into a bollard. Dog eggs. Collision mitigation brake system, road departure, blind spot, and it has the parking assistant as well, which if I press that button there, it will assist with parking, which is not new on cars these days, but it's something a lot of people like. I don't really think you need a parking assistant if you've got a car this short with this kind of turning circle and you've passed a driving test. I think you should be all right. This is one of the party pieces, Honda says, of the E. Because it's an urban-centric vehicle, they wanted to get a huge turning circle on it. Well, actually no, a tiny turning circle. Apparently this is a turning circle of 4.3 meters. That's even smaller than the Smart, which is some 6.95 meters. That is way less than a London Taxi, which is 8.5 meters. It's ridiculous. The Nissan Leaf has a turning circle of 11 meters. I've got to test this. Look at it. It looks broken. So let's put it on full lock now with this pillar here. Let's see if it comfortably, it should go round and go round the other between these two. Wow. Whoa, that's tight. Look at that. I can go round again. That is seriously, seriously good. So you think how agile this is. A car under 4 meters long. with a 4.3 metre turning circle. Look. That's quite good, isn't it? I don't find that boring at all. I guess I should probably drive it properly now instead of just tooling around in a tight circle in a car park. We're in gale force winds and floods right now, and it feels very, very quiet. What I would say about the Honda E is, although some of the plastics, like the door sills where you enter the car, the threshold sills, and this plastic bit underneath the faux wood is not brilliant. The dash top's not brilliant, I would say, either, compared to sort of German cars and stuff like that, and even compared to the Peugeot E208, which I think has a superb interior. It's just a great piece of design, and it's very comfortable, actually. Okay, we come to the back. Now, look at that badge. Look, that font is great. I really like that. The thing about the Honda E is it doesn't follow the design of any other Honda in the current range. Hondas have been a bit fussy in design. The Civics have gone through a strange phase. This is so simple. All the lines are so simple and yet so desirable. I just hope that the popularity around this car, the hype around this car, pushes Honda's design out into the other models, and we are going to get other electric and electrified models. In fact, by 2022, Honda says they're going to have all of their models will be electrified. These, I think, are the reversing lights. So your reversing light in there with a camera there, and there's a camera in the middle. It's all inside this dark kind of recess. And then you've got your rear light cluster, indicator around the perimeter, your red brake rear lights in the middle, I think. Now we come to the boot, and this is the bit which I think will test whether the visual appeal of the Honda E is enough to just make you want it, because it's great inside and it looks great externally. The boot is tiny, 171 litre boot. Bearing in mind the Mini electric, Mini's a small car, has a 230 litre boot, and the Nissan Leaf and the Kona and the e-Golf and those guys are well over 300 litres. It is small. This is your charge cable, and there is a cable in there. This is for the home plug, the 3-pin home plug set up, and this is your puncture repair kit. So there isn't another deep floor under there. This is it. It is that. Is it enough for you? Do you still want it? I kind of do still. I think what we have here is a car where you desire it so much based upon the visual appeal. You will forgive the fact that the boot probably can only fit one of my children's school bags in it, not both of them. This is the advanced model, which has the 17-inch wheels, which look like gas hobs on an oven. I really like those. You can order it with 16s, and that gives you extra range. Panoramic glass roof as standard. This is called modern steel metallic. All Honda E's are two-tone, whether you get it in platinum white, charge yellow, which is probably my favourite colour, crystal black, crystal blue metallic, which is really high metallic, or this. This is probably the most kind of sensible, sinister colour for the Pikachu-faced Honda E. So you've got lots of legroom, big open footwells, like a little floating centre console here that doesn't bridge this gap. And down there you've got a proper 3-point plug, a home plug, along with other kind of cigarette lighter outlets, a brace of USBs, and a little pocket. Got this little sort of leatherette handle. You pull that out. You've got one cup holder there that just folds out. You've got these little dividers, and have the spaces the size that you want, depending on how many drinks, or you can just have it fully open, I suppose. In the centre console, again, not much going on really. Park, reverse, neutral, drive. And then you've got your drive mode, which is either sport or normal. If I put a video on and go to HDMI, look, I'm watching a video all about Honda motorbikes. But the idea here is, look, I've got this on this screen. If I go like that, I put it over there because the passenger could then be watching something or messing around, and then I can bring up whatever I want here. So let's say I want my trip computer to be brought up here, or my EV mode, so I can be dealing with that sensible stuff. I've got a home button up here, a physical one. You've got a couple of tactile buttons up here. You've got a lovely little old-fashioned volume control there. So there you go, you've got your physical buttons here for doing my demisters and my screens and my heated seat. So I can go to that without going in there. That's a smart EQ. That's a new smart EQ. What a coincidence. I was only talking about those this morning. When you turn the one pedal driving function on, which I've just done, the regen is aggressive, much more, up to 1.8 G of regen apparently. Yeah, that's quite harsh, isn't it? So no more creep. When it comes to a stop and I can take my feet off the pedals without putting it into park, without holding my foot on the brake, the car just comes to a stop. So if I didn't have it on one pedal mode, I could use the brake hold button like I do in the e-Golf and other cars. You can flit from one pedal movement to just normal movement, and then with the normal movement I can go 4 different stages of regenerative braking with these pedals on the steering wheel. I like a bit of regen, not quite as hardcore as the one pedal, and the one pedal takes away the creep that you get in traffic like an automatic gearbox, so I'm going to leave it off one pedal and just put the regen on a bit more. The charge port. Now, this is a real focal point of the front of the car. It's glass, for a start. It's really high quality, and they've made a point of not hiding it inside this black sort of concave frontal mast. So what they're saying is they're proud of the fact this is electric. They want owners to be proud of it. I'm a bit worried about rain coming in here, but presumably Honda, they do think of stuff like that. And it charges up to 100 kilowatts DC. So you've got CCS here. It feels good to the touch. Now we are pulling up to do a quick lunch stop and a rapid charge. Just gonna give it a quick squirt of CCS rapid charge. Lovely weather, really nice. Yeah. Just get back in. Get back in the little Honda lounge, quick. Get in. I'm going to have a look at my aquarium. Of course, you've got these screens to play with and you can watch stuff on the screens, but one thing that I do particularly like is Honda's party piece, the aquarium. Now, I'm a keen fish keeper. I've been since I was a boy. And you can also modify the aquarium because, let's face it, it's a Japanese car company, so I'm going to go from a coral seawater environment to a planted kind of mangrove situation like that, and I'm going to increase that breed of fish and I'm going to save that. Watch. Oh, look at that. And if I tap the screen, because if it wasn't silly enough, I can feed the fish. Look, I'm dropping pellets in, food pellets, look, and the fish are attracted to it. Look, I just think that's really cool, and it's so Japanese. In fact, it'd be even more Japanese if there were koi carp, but I don't think there are koi carp. Maybe the next generation they will. I've plugged it into charge, and you can see on the dash, it's 78% charge. It's going to take 29 minutes. So 100 kilowatts is the fastest you can charge it. But what's weird is it will do 0 to 80% in 30 minutes at 100 kilowatts. But at 50 kilowatts, it does 0 to 80% in 31 minutes. And I checked with Honda whether this is a typo, and they say no. And I do not understand why it's hardly any quicker. It must be to do with the battery management or something like that, which I think is just a bit weird. And at 6.6 kilowatts, one of these wall chargers, it'll take just over 4 hours. See this gap here though between the air conditioning or heater outlets, that gap there? I keep looking at it thinking, I want to have the Honda E beautiful chrome script badge from the boot. I want one of them on there. You know, like the old classic Fords and things would have gear or something written on there, a little crest. I'd like Honda E on there. Minor gripe. It reminds me of right at the beginning of the Dr. Dre album 2001. The intro. I've forgotten what it's called. The low-speed mandatory noise that the Honda E makes reminds me of the harmonising voices in the hit 70s single by 10cc, I'm Not in Love. while I was charging the E up and having a coffee, one of the Honda E project team was sitting in the car you saw playing a Nintendo, plugged into the HDMI cable socket down there. Now he said the reason for that is to encourage people to either watch television or gaming and that kind of stuff while they're charging. So use charge time as a bit of hobby time if you're not wanting to work or have lunch or whatever else. And I guess he also reminded me that in places like Tokyo, where space is at such a premium, a space inside your car is like your little bit of private sanctuary. Because Honda, like so many other manufacturers, believe that connectivity is the future for cars and probably the future for engaging younger people with cars or gearing everybody up for autonomy. One thing this has is a personal assistant. See that button there? And I can just say at any point, OK Honda. What is the Latin for cowfish?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Could you say that again?
I just want to know the simple things. How far away is the airport?
The remaining travel distance is 20.0 kilometers.
What is the range of the car?
I could not recognize the utterance. For example,
Utterance?
you can try saying play FM radio or how much gas do I have left.
Tell me the performance.
You can ask about topics such as searching for destinations, operating the audio system.
I really
making
struggle with
phone
this sort of
calls,
thing.
Map operations, car functions, operating instructions, and the weather.
Have you finished? Tell me how far away Christmas is.
There are 11 months, 4 days, 9 hours, 17 minutes and 51 seconds until Christmas Day.
Turn off navigation voice.
Stop navigation.
That's not what I said. You'd make a rubbish lawyer. That isn't what I actually said. I love you, but you're useless. I'm not the kind of guy that needs this stuff in a car. It's not for me. I like a car to just be good at driving. I can't help thinking that this is when technology is not necessarily helpful. This is working, look. Look, rain repelling lenses on the side cameras. The back camera is having issues. Same conditions, see the headlights of the car that's following me. Mirror. Technology. Because I test a car for only a short space of time, I have to try and learn quickly. So I struggle with some of the tech of the Honda here, but in terms of just a driver's car, I think it's a really good driver's car. Feels very promising. Something I don't quite understand is Honda have made a point of saying this car was always designed for urban use, and they've made it small, and they don't see the point in making EVs physically bigger because people seem to be chasing range and only range, and they don't think that's the way to go. But, and this is the thing I don't quite understand, but also in the same breath, this is 1,542 kilos. That's the thing, so it's heavier than all the cars it competes with, but all the cars it competes with have a better range than it. Even the Mini Electric, which I probably see as its direct competitor when the Mini Electric is launched, has a piddly 32 point something kilowatt hour battery pack, but a better alleged real world range than the Honda E. In fact, all of its competitors can do more miles of range, and some of them are quicker in terms of 0 to 62, like the Peugeot E208. I think it's quicker to 62. But Honda have said, yeah, but like you don't want a car that goes too far because that makes it heavier. What? And this doesn't even take into account Volkswagen's shortly available ID3 model, which is going to be rear-wheel drive, rear-motored and aggressively priced. Difficult to make a choice because it depends what your priority is. Is it pure range and nothing else with a good warranty? Is it driving characteristics? On paper, this car loses almost to everything that it gets put against. But yet, you're still left desiring one and forgiving it for its foibles. I am forgiving that boot for being so darn stupidly small. And I'm thinking ahead already going, well, I could probably fit a little, you know, rideable on it, a little electric scooter, or I could, you know, maybe remind Honda that they brought something out called the Moto Compo many years ago, which is a folding, beautiful little suitcase moped. And they actually, back in I think 2011 or 2012 at the Tokyo Motor Show, did an electric concept of that bike. So Honda, look, you brought a car out many years ago called the City Jazz in the early 80s, and it came with a folding moped that fitted in the boot. Build another folding electric moped to put in the boot of my E. This is a car that will always have a cult following, whether this is a success or whether it isn't, but I hope this car will be a massive success for Honda. And even if you see someone driving past in it and you look at them and go, you could have bought a car for the same or less money with better performance and better range, but you chose not to because you wanted a car that was interesting. When it comes down to this, it comes down to the fact that we've both been looking at this car and thinking the range just is not quite good enough for me. The rapid chargeability is good, the design is beautiful, it's odd, it's got brown seat belts with grey seats. No other car could get away with that. No other car. I actually want to own it. I think my wife would absolutely love to own a car like this. We have cars in our family that are flawed, but we're attracted to them because they have something about them, and this has something about it. This is not a car for everyone, but Honda kind of know that. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and you'll see some new material appearing quite soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.